Aninews dropped another video. All right. The title of this video: the crazy edits you probably didn't notice in One Punch Man season 3. But you know what? I'd probably just title it something like "Everything You Missed in One Punch Man season 3."
I don't know what everyone's all up in arms about. Season 3 is about as faithful to the manga.
Hold on, let me see the. Let's see if we in that thumb. Okay.
Season 3 is about as faithful to the manga as you can get. There might not be a lot of frames between them, but it's kind of shocking how precisely they decided to follow the manga.
But look, there's one thing that we need to address is that corporate greed is what ruined the whole adaptation from the manga to the anime, and we cannot beat around the bush about that. Yeah, sure. The studio, you can't just put all the blame on the studio, but they deserve part of the blame, and we cannot act like they don't. They accepted the job, whether they need money or not. You shouldn't accept the job if you know that you can't fall through with the product. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, like, you know, yeah, people are, you know, they're kind of like up in arms. It's like you paid somebody to do a service, right? Let's say you paid somebody to come fix your AC, and whenever they show up to come fix your AC, they shoot your fucking dog. That's how everybody feels about this. Like, it's definitely like a pretty big deal in the world of anime, and there's a reason. So
now, I'm all
let's not play about that. Come on.
But there's a stark difference
Aninews.
between the way this does it and a faithful manga adaptation like, say, Freerun. So, due to how crazy some of these adaptation choices are, I absolutely needed to make a video pointing them out. There's some pretty ridiculous things to be found when you analyze some of the
like, why is his cheeks out,
plus a few moments that weren't even included. So
they even in the animation, the animated version, they even made this a chick. Like, they completely overlooked the fact that this is a dude and then turned him into a chick.
That all said, here's a fun comparison between One Punch Man's anime and manga. First, we start off with some glorious pans at the Hero Association, then the classic static dialogue shots with just the mouth moving, then a repeat of the same shot we got literally 15 seconds ago. It's all exactly how we see in the manga, minus a line about Blast and how everything but his hero name is shrouded in secrecy. Enter Mr. Narinki, and aside from being the first few frames of continuous animation we've gotten so far, there's a skipped panel of him walking into the room to discuss his grievances, then a cut line where he's upset about having given them so much money with no value to see from it. Another panel was cut with Sekengal after, basically showing him reassuring Mr. Narinki that they were working as fast as they could. So, for those keeping count, that's 2 more panels in the manga than there are frames in the anime. Well, not actually, but there's been more scene variations in the manga than the anime so far. Fast forward to this scene with Tatsumaki, and what could have been an additional frame setting the scene with her and Sekengal was instead left out for this, a lengthy pan with Child Emperor. I'm guessing cause there's enough moving parts on screen to qualify this one as better. The actual dialogue is identical, but when Sekengal gives his warning not to underestimate the monsters, Tatsumaki expresses her annoyance with it. It was a clear frustration with the situation we didn't quite get in the anime. Now, for this particular scene here, this was the moment I knew, okay, they're definitely just copying the manga panel for panel. It's not like an anime has never overlaid a static image on top of another static image before. It's just the way this was done makes it so clear they're not even trying to add anything.
Alright, I was gonna interrupt.
Anime would have extended these panels to at least be a full screen cut of the heroes, but here they kept the exact image, pretty much the exact sizing, and even the same angle of the black bars separating them.
They just colored it, bro.
It's such a jarring edit for a medium that's supposed to be fluid. The next scene with Atomic Samurai is pretty much identical, but what isn't are the character designs between these 2 frames here. You may not have noticed on your first watch, but if we go back and forth like it's some kind of eye exam, you'll start to see the differences make it look like it's from a completely different anime. There's different sword positions, the outlining is very clearly less detailed, Ian's armor doesn't even look the same, and Bushidro's hair looks like a dresser came in and restyled it for him. I imagine it's because different animators were tasked with taking on these 2 scenes separately, and because the reference was this detailed panel versus this less detailed one, the end result was an inconsistent pairing across the scene in its entirety. It's a phenomenon
those lines
we'll see
are thicker.
happen a few more times this episode. The rest of Atomic Samurai's scene provided no more and no less than the manga, so in a way I guess you could say it was perfect. The same could be said for the prison scene after, as every panel was included there too. The anime even added a couple extra shots and gave us a pan with Putty Putty Prisoner's backside. It's when we get to the next scene with Child Emperor that, rather than show him typing and tinkering with his tools, the anime instead just lets us hear it. Metal Knight then says he was in the middle of eating breakfast
Cutting
and
corners,
described
though.
the attack that destroyed him as some kind of horn like an antenna. It's minor details that aren't quite important, but the anime does include an ominous shot of what we can only assume is blood. The conversation then finishes with Child Emperor chalking the whole thing up to a waste of time, an excluded panel which wasn't too important either. This is where the manga gets to the scene with Fubuki, an encounter with Saitama that happens later on in the episode. We'll just talk about it now though, starting with this specific frame here. So, aside from Genos and Bang supposed to be looking more disheveled, I cannot for the life of me figure out why the anime just decided to have Bang's bare ass out like this. I know the director has a pretty experienced background with hentai, but as far as
I knew that too. I heard about that, dude. I'm not trying to pause right there, but
manga. So
no
to
pun
make that
intended.
change here was certainly a choice. I mean, they even
I can't. There's nowhere I could
center
pause,
for a
bro.
whole
And he just
15
keeps zooming in
seconds
on
and
his
made it
ass
seem
cheeks,
weird.
man.
It's a panel you'd think they'd replicate.
I heard that. Like JC Studio, man. It's like they said that they're very well known to have been doing hentai content. So don't sit there and try to just throw as much as like, you know what? We're so used to making hentai. Let's try to hentaiify. I'm just throwing words around. Hentaiify One Punch Man. Like, come on, bro. I know that they got like little gooner kids that might, you know, just want to go ahead and watch an anime for like ass and titties and stuff like that. But bro, when you sit there and gender swap like the villains when they're not supposed to be, and then just throwing his cheeks out there for no reason, like, I don't know, maybe they thought it was funny and they just wanted to be edgy, but come on, man. Like, I understand like you want like some kind of like artistic freedom, but don't just kind of like make everything like super pervy when it don't need to be.
Exactly like how they'd been doing before, but for some reason this one's surprisingly different in terms of framing. I guess we can call this a creative difference of sorts. After was an extra panel with Bomb expressing how he was pretty beat up too, then an extended panel with Saitama showing King beating him in their video game. Following it was a single panel with lots of dialogue, which any other anime would have added various cuts to make the conversation more engaging. I was wondering how One Punch Man might approach this type of scenario.
They just turned it. I did a short video on it, and they just turned this one particular scene into like a 30-second PNG. All you're doing is just listening. It just turned it into an audio book. Like, bro, they could have switched back and forth between everybody that was talking, but instead they just left it on her. And she wasn't even doing nothing. She was literally just sitting there or standing there, not talking, not doing nothing, just like this.
Themselves, but it seems they just decided not to.
It was so
Instead,
bad. That's the
we got
one.
a 23-second pan on the longest static image sequence so far. The conversation then proceeds to capture panel to frame with minimal changes, up until a panel with Genos.
Her hair
mentioning
was
how he
animated
would be
more
out
than
of
anything.
commission for another day or two. With Dr. Kusino resting after working on Genos' previous upgrades, he wouldn't have time until later to work on Genos'
Like, bro, it was
repairs.
just
So that's why Genos was going to be out for so long. Next is another one of those frames taken straight from the manga, then after is a minor nitpick involving Bomb. We know his dialogue here was directed towards Bang, but rather than be looking at Bang like how he is in the manga, instead Bomb is staring upwards at who knows where. You wouldn't know Bomb was talking to Bang if not for him mentioning his name at the end. It's after Saitama leaves that's when we're introduced to Mr. Narinki's...
Oh, look at the
hero
lines.
squad.
Oh yeah, that just shows how animated it is. Look at that. Oh yeah, take the lines away and it's
When we're
just
introduced to
a
Mr.
slideshow,
Narinki's
bruh.
private hero squad.
It's literally a slideshow, just throwing them
Battlesuits
speed
powering
lines.
them up to be stronger than that of the common hero. I know the anime said it could surpass the power of any professional hero, but I think common hero sets the expectations a little bit better. Each of them are then introduced by name, but considering their brief longevity in the story, they're really not all that important. Just a device intended to hype up the Monster Association. This brings us now to Garo, where as far as detailing goes, the anime is doing a decent job with it. We can at least be happy that a majority of the close-up designs are depicted nicely. Garo's walk I can't really say the same for, especially since he's supposed to be leaning up against the wall, barely supporting himself. If their goal was to portray him as stiff, then I'd say that's what they got, but I don't think that's the type of walk they were going for here. When it comes to Mr. Narinki's private squad after, a couple extra panels of them begging for mercy were left out, alongside Garo's astute observation that these were just mercenaries. And as expected of mercenaries, they were simply following through with the operation for the money, not the hostage. The next conversation with Gyoro and this machine god really highlight just how egregious the lack of animation can be sometimes. Since both these characters don't even have mouths that move while talking, their back and forth is literally static pans with no movement whatsoever. Just static image to static image for the better part of a minute.
Really, the title of this reaction is just gonna probably be like everything that JC didn't add in One Punch Man, because like we didn't miss nothing, like nothing like glossed over our head. They literally didn't put 70%. This is anime, just 70% is not included. Like people were upset whenever Mappa, you know what I'm saying, like edited the released the Maharaga and Sukuna fight, and they were saying like a lot of frames and a lot of panels were kind of missed out. It just felt like super choppy and all over the place. I would have rather have had that than what we got with One Punch Man. Like honestly, like come on, bro. You would that's crazy to say. It's like if you wanted to pick the lesser of two evils, you would have had the choppy, chaotic mess that was coming from JJK implemented into One Punch Man, because we didn't get nothing.
Granted, the manga is like that too, but I feel they could have at least animated Machine God turning around to face Gyoro here. In any case, it's here that the manga gets into what should have been the first bit of action, but it seems the anime decided to cut it out.
Bro, just look how lazy that is. Hold on.
The anime decided to cut it out.
Look at this.
To face Gyoro here. In any case,
look at this. All this is, you just cut Garo out, right? Now you have two sequences, and then this frame right here, this whole background is just a zoom, like a push in. It just zooms in and you just have him walking. You just turn this in, it's just a gif, an endless gif of him walking. Look,
it's here that the manga
you see how it's pushing in and he's walking, not getting bigger or smaller.
It seems the anime decided to cut it out completely. It's the first major omission that's not just one or two panels. What it regards as the fate of these mercenaries, a discussion revolving around whether they should be killed or monsterized. Naturally, the monsters were very intent on killing them, all itching to get a piece of their newfound prisoners. They were blood-starved to the point that they couldn't wait anymore. Even Gyoro could tell he wouldn't be able to hold them back, so when a few monsters jumped in to get a piece before everyone else, that's when King the Ripper would step in to stop them.
Yeah, Royal
If the
Ripper
rule was gonna be first come, first served,
turned him into a woman.
King the Ripper's urges needed to be satisfied first. It was the first introduction to one of the demon threat level monsters. His scene makes it fully clear he's just a sadistic monster in it for the torture, evident by his desire to hurt the humans in any way imaginable. Now, for Garo who was watching this, he was thinking of just how chaotic all this was. To think there was a monster who could control all the others was unimaginable. Then again, the giant centipede was shown to follow orders themselves, so there must have been someone strong enough to subdue these monsters. Getting back to the problem at hand though, it was before King the Ripper could do anything to harm the mercs that Machine God would step in to offer his own opinion. This realigns the anime with the manga, but not without a massive inconsistency with the animation. You see, with King the Ripper removed from the scene completely, Super S's pose here doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, without something for her whip to grab onto, what then is it making tension with to have it look like this?
I know, really?
Well, in the manga it was King the Ripper's blades, but here it's apparently thin air. It's a clear result of copying the manga without any consideration for what's actually happening on screen. Just like with the Atomic
Okay, that was a
Samurai
little
scene
like,
earlier, I'm guessing an
what is she
animator
doing?
was given this manga panel as reference, then told to recreate it without being given the full picture. They probably didn't even know King the Ripper wasn't gonna be part of the scene. If they did, then this is just the result of laziness, but I'm
Okay,
willing
so
to
she's
give
just
the
holding
animators
nothing
the benefit of the doubt here.
in the anime.
In any case,
I
King
thought
would
she was
be
holding
ordered to give
somebody.
the mercenaries to Super S, resulting in their subsequent transformation into monsters. It's after that Machine God would find King's impertinence somewhat annoying, leading to his question of whether it was okay to kill other members. Killing between monsters was unavoidable, but due to their upcoming war against the heroes, Gyoro preferred not to have too much of it. Really, the whole question was just a threat towards King though, a display King could only laugh at. That's when King would point out he still smelled a human, demanding the one hiding show himself. This is how Garo makes his entrance, revealing the giant Statue of Liberty-sized monster that somehow wasn't in any of the other shots. Now, much of the conversation after was pretty much the same, minus the line where Gyoro mentions how the full strength of the Monster Association numbered approximately 500. It was roughly equivalent to the ranks of the Hero Association. Finally, there was one more excluded panel involving Insect God, then it's after that we get into the post-credit scene. What's
Bro, this
interesting
one
about
too,
this
like,
is that
come
the
on.
animation quality of these two walking is surprisingly normal. There was none of this stiff, awkward stuff we got with
Why
Garo.
is his neck moving
It's
like
not
that?
enough to
His
say
trap,
whether
his
we
head is
can
like
expect better in the
sliding
future,
left and
but
right.
it is a good step in the right direction. Perhaps they're saving the budget for all the fight scenes. Now, there was a line left out where these two think themselves stronger than Garo, but that's likely just wishful thinking on their part. When it comes to Sonic's scene after, we unfortunately get back to the quality that we're used to from earlier. Like, where I imagine this was supposed to be some epic moment of Sonic putting on his scarf and resolving himself to be stronger, we instead got a repeat of the same 3 frames over and over again. But yeah, that's pretty much it for episode 1. I wasn't sure what I expected when I set out to make this video, but what I found in the process was definitely surprising. Now, I know this is different from what I usually do, but if you're new to the channel and want to see more, then leave a like and let me know down in the comments. If you want to see other content just like this one too, then feel free
Look
to
at that,
subscribe
bro.
as well. This was
Not
kind
even
of a
switching
bridge between
frames.
my usual cut content and a review of sorts. It's a step away from the isekai and fantasy that I usually cover, but as a longtime reader of the One Punch Man manga, I have no issues covering this alongside my other series. So, until next time.
It was a good video.
Ciao.
I liked it. But yo, I'm telling you, this is bad. I never thought that anything would kill Saitama, but it turns out we killed Saitama. Or not really we, humans. If there's a specific organization or a specific group of humans that killed Saitama, it was JC Studio. It was bad.